improved itemization.
Along the way, solving a lot of things that we've seen continually from our community that we agree with are pain points.
Oh, he agrees with us. Right now. That's great. What's up, everybody? I wasn't available on Thursday to watch the fucking campfire chant. I wasn't able to watch it live. We're gonna watch it now, and I'm gonna react to it. I haven't seen it. I checked out some stuff about it on Twitter, but that's about it. Let's watch it. Let's laugh together. And of course, I'll always be honest with you. I'm a straight shooter, bruh. I got my finger on the K button so we can pause efficiently.
All right. We were just watching a video and everyone
just finger gunning the screen for no reason.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another Diablo 4 developer update live stream. My name is Adam Fletcher.
My name is 8-Bit Villain.
Director here for Diablo. I'm joined by this wonderful panel, plus an
eyelash stuck in my eye. That's terrific.
But
we only have 4 seats, so we have to swap people around as we go.
We have to do the same thing.
They only have 4 seats, and 2 of the people who put me to fucking sleep and 1 who makes me rage are not on this panel today. Thank God.
We did during the PTR stream, which was like we swapped out like Joe Shelley, and I put in Adam Jackson.
That's true. We did do that.
To be fair, I think Joe Shelley is a good dude. I don't like picking on him because I like him, but I'm glad Rod's not here because Rod's a crybaby, takes everything personally. Also, fuck Rod.
We're gonna play more magic tricks today, but do you guys want to do a quick intro to yourself, to the wonderful Diablo community?
He blocked me on Twitter because I gave him some constructive fucking criticism, and I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. I have like 80 fucking followers or 80 subs on YouTube and like 300 followers on Twitter. And this fuckface blocked me. I wasn't even a dick to him at all. He's just a crybaby bitch.
Sure, I'm Joe Pipora. I'm the Associate Game Director for Diablo 4.
And I'm Adam Jackson.
Adam Jackson's my favorite.
And we have a new face.
I think he gives a shit about this game.
I'm the lead live game designer.
Awesome. And then we're actually going to be joined by Derek.
Who are you?
Oh, well, I already introduced myself.
Oh,
you
sorry.
just missed it.
He's not even paying attention. Would you, though? I mean, fuck.
I'm screen stuff.
He's just sitting in this panel knowing that all of us fucking turbo nerds are going to bitch and complain about everything he says. So can you blame him for not paying attention? I probably wouldn't either. Anyway, I'm going to stop pausing. Let's get through this fucking video.
I know, terrible.
It's my first
but we actually have Derek who will be joining us as well. Derek, you just saw in the video prior talking about Season 4. He'll be swapping in to talk a little bit more about Helltides later in this. But
okay, I lied. I'm pausing again. The changes in Helltide are fucking good. They're good. They're so fucking good. I have content creator friends who are going to always trash Diablo 4, and that's fine. I love it. I love to see it. I love to talk shit about D4. I get it. But you also have to give this shit a chance. I know you don't want to. You've been burned before. You've been bent over the table. You've received it raw. I understand, brother. But because I'm a Diablo fan, not Diablo 4, not Diablo 3, not Diablo 2, I'm just a fucking Diablo in general fucking fan. I love the atmosphere. I love the lore, which is fucking lacking in this game, to be honest with you. Where the fuck is Diablo and the Primevals? Can we be real? But anyway, give it a fucking chance. Please, I love you.
big stream here. We have Season 4 coming up. As you guys saw earlier this week, it is Loot Reborn for Season 4. And a lot of players actually got to experience it a couple weeks ago with PTR. This was our first
PTR kept crashing for me. I have a fucking super powerful rig.
Undertaking from the team here, but it was really
I mean, I don't have a 40. I have a 4080. I don't have a 4090.
Check out Season 4 and all the changes, and actually provide feedback. And so we have a lot to cover today based off of...
When my graphics card died, it was the only one available. I didn't want to buy it because it wasn't really a good value.
But Joe, I know you wanted to jump into kind of talking a little bit more about...
I'm talking over them now, sorry.
How PTR went before we jump into all the changes.
Yeah, happy to. So, okay, so last time we were on stream, we were actually talking about a lot of the changes that players are going to get a chance to check out on the PTR.
I like that shirt.
So we think that went really, really well. It was even just having the week of time for players to like just jump in and just crush through all of the content, check out all of the new features, and get a lot of feedback, find a lot of bugs on the way as well. Yeah.
Is it too loud?
Super valuable. It's been really, really great for the team. We'll take a lot of this feedback, look at like the look at the tuning variety of features, and really make sure that we've got the best version of the Season 4 experience ready when we get into the launch state. So, in terms of like our big takeaways, first of all, really, really valuable across the board. Season 4,
Good.
Season Loot Reborn was, as I mentioned during the PTR stream originally, was really our opportunity to go back and take a lot of the feedback in that we've been looking at since the launch of the game from 2023.
This art is so good.
Dude, that's fucking sick. I love that.
The key art for this key art for Season.
Look at that rogue with the bow and her little face mask. That's shit OP.
Season 3 was awesome as
It's
well.
awesome.
Yeah. So yes,
Can we get more Lilith though? Can she like res somehow? I'm a fucking simp for Lilith. I think she's a great character, and it kind of sucks in my opinion that they killed her off right. Oh, spoilers! Fuck, sorry. It sucks that they killed her off right away.
so looking back at the thanks for disrupting my flow.
I'm sorry. The art is amazing.
So yeah, looking back at the launch of the product in 2023, we've been getting a lot of really good feedback. You remember back in Season 2, Season of Blood, we made a big change to like vulnerable damage and like the multiplicative damage that comes along with it. We made a change to the way the elemental resist worked.
Yep.
And there were a lot of things we had to do to make those changes like really shine through. There's like a lot of Paragon nodes that had to get updated.
Dude's got is that a tablet or a folding phone? I think it's a tablet. I'm getting bored. Can you guys get to something good?
And lift up other things around them, like overpower, for example, to make that feel like it was in a better spot. So now that we're looking at like even
Damage on Tuesday shirt. Can I get one of those?
For Season of Blood, we knew that there was a lot more that we wanted to do. Again, we've been thinking about, but there's a lot of work we need to do, like make sure that all of these things really all fit together cohesively. So, I mean, as people got a chance to see on the PTR, like the introduction of things like the tempering feature, which we're going to talk a little bit more in a minute. We get to like introduce these new like affixes into items.
All the crafting they stole from last epoch.
The reduction affix count on items overall, so it's a lot easier.
I'm gonna skip this. Great, you learned things.
And
I'm
of
happy
course,
for you.
All the feedback that we got from both tempering, masterworking, and what we are planning on doing based off of that PTR feedback for the launch of
Yeah,
Season
we have
4.
quite a few updates.
Yeah,
So.
lots.
Yeah, sure. So I guess just starting off then with like high level itemization. Like let's go back to like some of the goals that we had when we started like down on this, started some of the work for Season 4. Now, we want to make sure that, first, players were having an easier time comparing items in their inventory. It's actually
Thank
one of the
fucking
first things
Christ.
we started thinking about when we began discussing what we thought needed to change about itemization, because the experience in Season 3 and Season 2 and other seasons has really been like the player, you'll get into like the, you're running your high tier nightmare dungeons, you're getting lots of drops, you're sorting through all of this stuff. Like you'll have like items that are like, this is like a 904 eye power sword, and this is a 909 eye power sword. Now I've got like 6 helmets that all are like have a wide variety of affixes on them. We really wanted to, again, just to quickly hit this. We wanted to make sure that we had a lower number of affixes overall that could roll on different item slots. But those affixes were more like generically useful and stuff you could really build around, as opposed to having lots of really conditional affixes going back to like the
Damage on Tuesday. He's got the shirt. Woo!
The shirt that we literally wearing it now. Huge proponent. It's always funny. So it's obviously because it's a joke, right? Oh, jokes are always funny. But
this guy's butthurt about stash jokes.
Where we want to have conditional affixes in the game, we want to find places players would be able to opt into them in a very specific way. So initially want items that you're really dropping for you to have more generic utility, just more valuable for you overall. And
it's not alcohol, but if we're having a fucking Diablo discussion, maybe it should be.
Also, as a result of this, make it easier to compare those items. Yeah. So one of the changes that we made is we actually reduced the number of affixes.
It's okay, I do it too.
Roll on item slots. So like now, a rare item can roll like 2 affixes, a legendary item can roll 3 affixes. But then later on, there's other systems you get to introduce. We'll talk about in a bit. It lets you introduce more of those. Yeah. And we did that, so it's just easier to go through things.
We also made all items post level 100 925, so you're no longer comparing like the designer number that's like 904 to 925. You're just focusing on what's cool about the item, which is the affixes.
Yeah.
But we're gonna outgrow 925 though, and it's gonna start to get boring.
Level 100, like Blood Harvest might be a lot of fun, but Blood Harvest is still dropping like eye power 900 items.
I think they should be like a super, maybe like 5 super rare items in the game. I mean, Ubers are kind of already super rare. But you know what I mean? Like just 5, maybe 6 items in the game that are higher than 925. Let's say 1,000. And if you get those items, you're a god. And that's what you want to be in an ARPG, right? You want to be a god. You want to blow through shit. You want to go through it like a fucking tornado in a trailer park. It's not funny for everybody. I'm sorry.
For you. And at that point, why would you want to keep even Blood Harvest, which players really love? Like, why would you want to keep engaging with it if you can't get really good end game items format? Yeah. So now when you're like at level 100 and you're playing in Helltide, or if you're going through Nightmare Dungeons at like a regular, like a slightly lower tier, and you're fighting level 100 monsters or higher, you're always getting eye power 925 items.
Let me just say, I know I'm pausing a lot. Bear with me. As soon as I can get into the rifts, you can kiss Nightmare Dungeons goodbye. I'm never touching them again.
Might not have all exactly the stats or exactly the roles that you want, but you're always getting stuff you could actually potentially use.
Yeah, a lot of the things feel a lot better too, like gambling, right? Like now gambling is actually a really great source for targeting item slot because all of those are 25.
Gambling was pretty much a waste of time.
You've been sitting on where you go and you just churn through a whole bunch of these at once. They didn't have as much generic value. Now they're a lot better because you really can just like say, I am looking for a helmet. I am looking for a ring, and you can just go roll 10 eye power 925 rings in a row. And you have stuff to play with then at that point.
I think that's fucking great because I can't tell you how many times in season 2 I was on a character and I had like these dog shit gloves or fucking terrible helmet, and no matter what I fucking did, I could not find an upgrade. So this is cool. I mean, I could just gamble for one, maybe. Shouldn't be for sure. It's gambling. Don't you know what the fuck that means?
So yeah, those were
RNG, brother.
Changes we wanted to make with items with regards to like making it easier to compare these things. Codex hits a lot of the inventory concerns that we'd have. Made changes to gems in previous seasons.
We're gonna be here all fucking day watching this shit. What do we got here?
You have, we're adding an offensive affix to the item.
Let me back up just a smidge.
What that item is. What you can do with this item to make it really superior, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that's sort of to jump into tempering.
Yes, jump into tempering, bruh. I didn't get to play with it because it kept crashing on me.
That we wanted hundreds of different affixes, and each one spoke differently to a build. We wanted you to be able to play sort of whatever class fantasy or build fantasy you had in mind and manifest that through customization of your items. So we actually have some video, I think, of what the tempering feature looks like, and I can talk through some of the updates we've made from the PTR.
I wonder if the demo is going to crash on them again. That'd be funny.
We're adding an offensive affix to the item. It's going to land on increased corpse explosion damage. It's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, especially if you really like corpse explosion. We've added a skip button so you can skip through the flow if you really want to blast through this. We also have a results screen now that shows you exactly what affix it landed on and what the roll range was. And then we have some more exciting affixes that you're going to see here. For example,
fucking garbage trucks are outside. Fuck.
Bone spear projectiles twice, which I know, Adam, is your favorite because
I love more projectiles.
The balance bomb.
Don't say it like that. Everyone loves
so
projectiles.
Great.
It is cool though. Like being able to
Derek is here, so yeah, we did our swap. But Joe's still going to be here off screen. We just want to make sure that Derek appears here. Derek is our lead seasons designer, so he'll be
fire him. I'm kidding.
More about Helltides later. Sorry to interject. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Now I'm off screen. So yeah, I think one of the really cool things about the tempering system in general is that like the manuals that we're introducing initially are just like the beginning of what we can do with tempering.
Oh, that's right. You have to find manuals, don't you? I like that.
To kind of throw at the player that we can introduce
something to grind for.
Updates. So it's something we can really extend and do some really neat stuff with.
Yeah, we absolutely plan to build on it in the future. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so a bunch of improvements to tempering overall.
And a lot of these, again, these improvements in tempering from the skip animations to the previews and stuff like that players will see were based off of feedback that we actually got from PTR. And so, again, huge shout out to the community for providing all that feedback for us so that we can actually get that in before
I left feedback
to season 4. So
because my game kept crashing. I know I keep saying that. I'm butthurt about it.
Which is another new feature within season 4 and permanently within Diablo 4 itself. So talk us through a little bit about what masterworking is, and of course the changes as well that we're going to be seeing based off of PTR feedback.
Sure, yeah. So the next step in your items journey is to really take it to new heights. You've customized it. You found some base affixes you're really into.
I'm just going to say it. Guy couldn't find a brush before he got on stream. Look at his hair, bro. It's just messy, that's all. There's nothing wrong with his hair. It's It's messy.
Too, and we wanted to give.
It looks like he just got out of bed and he slept on that. You know what happens in the morning when you know, unless you're bald. Are you bald?
Give you a way to essentially take some of these affixes to new levels. So you think about helms and CDR or cooldown reduction, or for example, that chance to replicate, your bone spear. We want you to be able to really juice those stats. So I think we have a video here of what that looks like. Overall, what we've really done is taken a look at the feedback. We got a bunch of feedback that it was tedious to upgrade these over and over. So
Was it? I didn't get a chance to do it.
From ranks 1 through 3. We've kept the critical, upgrade. We have the animation still there, but you can skip it. Again, sort of in the spirit of blasting across everything that we do. So you can do that very quickly. Another piece of feedback that we got was that, part of the masterworking process allows you to reset this. And why do you want to reset this? It's because you want to hit that specific affix you're looking for. You want to juice a specific affix.
Juice it, baby, like OJ.
Which means you want to reset that item.
Go away, garbage truck.
Part of the
Fuck.
resetting sort of requires you to.
I hope you
get,
guys can't hear
lower tier
that. It's
materials.
loud.
You're going to get these from the pit. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But overall, we saw a bunch of feedback that it was really tedious to create like 1,000 caches and open up them in town like 100 times, right? It's super annoying. The town is lava. We want to address that.
The town is lava.
So, we've added
Okay.
multiple scales of material conversion.
I'm glad they
to
said
those
that.
caches. This is a short-term solution. We have something in the future planned. It's just not ready yet. So, while it's not the perfect solution, it does get you there a little bit quicker. There's multiple conversion rates of materials, so you can turn, one legendary material into a much higher count of materials based on the tiers that we have in that crafting system. So, again, not the perfect solution. We have something coming in a future update.
Cool.
It's always in a future update.
Awesome. So yeah, a lot of changes coming for masterworking based off of feedback. Masterworking, of course, being a brand new, kind of that end tail of that item journey that you'll have even after tempering and stuff like that.
Yep.
So yeah.
I'll say another thing that was brought up this feedback was about veiled crystals, right? Didn't we reduce the amount?
What
we
about
need
the
for
the
crafting?
oblicite? I forgot what they call
I
it,
totally
but
talked
I
about
seen a
some of the
video where
stuff
there was
we've done
thousands of them just
overall
laying on the
optimization.
ground.
Veiled crystals is one of those things. So I'll talk about, first I want to touch on rare and magic items. That was something we made a change from Season 3 and Season 4. Legendary items are just generally straight up better than rare items now. And part of our goal there is really to ensure that players aren't sifting through sand, looking through thousands of items. We want to just call it out, like legendary items are legendary. At the same time, we acknowledge that there is some coolness to knowing that certain magic and rare items could have value to you, right? We don't have anything for Season 4 yet, but the design team is definitely talking about ways that we can bring this rarity back in a way that doesn't diminish our overall goal of trying to reduce that sort of sifting through sand.
When they say shit like this, don't you fucking wish that somebody else was in charge who wouldn't just rush this fucking game out the door? This game was not fucking done. This game wasn't even close to fucking done. And they say shit like this, it just irritates me that they expect us, the consumer, to shell out 70 goddamn, I know you guys have heard this before, shell out 70 goddamn dollars for a game that is not fucking done. But Rod is known as the closer. Get the fucking game out, put them on the goddamn shelves, and who cares about the fucking customer? We'll fix it later. That's my problem with Rod. It's never going away. It's nothing personal. I'm sure Rod's a good dude in like real life, and he's probably a good husband and dad, whatever the fuck he is. That's fine. But when it comes to game design, it comes to his fucking job, he fucking sucks.
Right. So in the meantime, they can be salvaged. They still have a use in the end game. But we heard a ton of feedback, to your point, Adam, on the veiled crystals.
If I suck at my job, fucking tell me. I'm not going to cry about it.
A bunch of yellow items up to do any of the cool crafting features. What the hell, Blizzard?
I'm going to block you on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm very sure it was.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've made it so that legendaries break down into equal amounts of veiled crystals. So you can just not pick up yellow items. It's just a bonus now. We've also made sacred and ancestral items break down into 2 and 3 amounts of salvage. So sacred items will break down into double, ancestral will break down into triple. So we're effectively tripling the output.
That makes sense. I like that.
Here.
And I know, so that was probably the most vocal feedback that we got from players. About
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, it makes
more Veil
sense.
Crystals, so I know that there's changes coming for that in season 4 based off that PTR feedback. Another, probably maybe the second, maybe also the first topmost our largest feedback piece that we got is around greater affixes and the visibility related to those. So there are changes going into that for season 4. So, Colin, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we wanted, the dopamine. That was a big goal also of part of
Hit me with the dopamine,
It's just,
brother.
like, seeing an item hit the ground and just being like, oh, I like that jackpot
change.
moment,
Yeah,
right?
so it's really important.
So we actually have some video here to show of what that actually looks like on the ground. So you can see, here's the weirdly long named item.
Yeah, what the hold on a second.
Right, item hit the ground. To show of what that actually looks like
Jesus Christ. That's very long.
on the ground. So you can see, here's the weirdly long named item with the greater affix. Yeah, right.
Unyielding commander's sacrificial sickle.
I know, right? Yeah. So we have a 1 greater affix star. It'll go up to 3 or 4 if it's a unique item, which always feels incredible. So it shows up on the ground when it lands. And then if we can go to the next video, we actually have an indicator now when it is in the inventory.
Oh, yeah, baby. Something so simple, but awesome and effective.
I'm disappointed I can't see like the pixels. It's not zoomed in. So that's been enormously helpful and really.
I don't know, man. My chair is very uncomfortable today.
These tormented bosses and they drop a ton of loot on the ground. To see some of these have stars on them, and it just is a feel great moment.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the whole like not sifting through the sands. You clearly see that icon. You know
I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit because we're on a balance discussion. Of course, the game's gonna be rebalanced all the time.
We did get a ton of feedback. I'm not going to go over the specifics of everything that changed, but I'm going to go over kind of the categories of things just because there's a whole lot of changes.
Yeah, I seen bosses just
one of the first big
one-shotting
ones was
people who are super
survivability
geared.
issues. So this
That's
is
not
kind of
cool.
talking about those people that went really far into the pit, and this is kind of something that's been happening on live as well that we wanted to address. And there's this phenomenon when you get really deep into the game and you're fighting high-level monsters where you'll hit a point where the monsters are kind of easy and you're able to blow through with your really powerful builds, and then you kind of get to a point where they start one-shotting you. And it
that would
be
suck.
kind of mysterious and hard to understand, like, what's going on? Why did this happen? We've also had some issues balancing that kind of top-end survivability when you get to those hard monsters in the game. One of the reasons for this is that variability in player defensiveness has been really high traditionally.
Yeah,
This is why when you look at the new items in the game
people gear up differently. It's just what it is.
in Season 4, you don't see a damage reduction very much at all. It's a very premium stat now that's really hard to get, and it's to help solve this problem of when someone is stacking all damage reduction versus someone who has none of it, their difference in effective health and survivability is really, really high, and so it makes it hard to balance the game. Another part that we wanted to hit was...
I'm sorry, guys. I gotta get whatever is in my eye here. I gotta get this shit out. Give me a second. I'll cut this out. Maybe. I've been fighting that thing for like since the beginning of the video. Oh, forgive me.
Was really armor. That armor is kind of a really confusing stat. It's not really well understood how it works. I'm going to be going over in a little bit how it works and what we're changing to kind of address both of these issues a little bit. Next is that some stats can get really high. We added all these crazy awesome stats, and you can juice them with masterworking and crit them and all these things.
Where does
and it
juice
allows for
them
some
come
really
from?
crazy things
It's
on the
like
PTR, which
so
people love
popular
to
lately.
post constantly at me, and to be clear, we like crazy things. It's awesome to get powerful and have that fantasy. We do have to take into account things like combat clarity and computer performance to make sure that the game can still run very well for everybody.
Oh my god.
So we made some changes there to address that.
You mean it's not fun to just not see the screen or the ground?
I think it is for a little while. Like, it is hilarious, I think.
Yeah, it's funny for a bit, but when you can only see like patches.
Maybe you shouldn't have built it on the Diablo 3 engine. Of course, I can't prove that. That's just my theory, and there are other people who have that same theory.
Of ground
And when one player can do that, let alone when you get 4 of them in a group, it's great. And last but not least, balance changes and bug fixes. I'll be going over some of them, but there's way more than what I'm covering right now today. But just know, We took a lot of feedback on balance, a lot of feedback on bugs. There
Good.
were a lot of them that were reported, and we
That's
acted on
good.
a lot of them, and I'll give an example of some that we did. All right, so let's go into armor. So,
Okay.
brief history, listener description.
I'm going to skip ahead. If you guys want to watch this, I'm sure you can find it on another content creator's page. It's all good. I'm not interested in this because I know it's just going to keep adjusting. I want to get to the details of, the rest of the shit. Not here for balance changes.
And Helltide changes. Probably one of the most popular features and changes that we've introduced in Season 4 with
Hell
people
yeah,
being
brother.
able to experience it. Of course, we got feedback based off of players jumping into Helltide, and we do want to go through all that with Derek. And then we also want to talk a little bit about the season itself with Derek. So, Derek, want to jump in?
Yeah, just a few things to cover. So as you mentioned, the players who joined us when the PTR or caught all the various blog and video posts and whatnot know that with Season 4, we're introducing permanent upgrades to the Helltide experience. Heavy focus on improving and enhancing, monster density and activity variety. So there's ton more things to do in the Helltides, and as a result, there's just ton more monsters.
Oh, this
to
video they're
roam
using is
through
so
in the
choppy.
Helltides. There's also some explorations, and just to double back real quick, these are all permanent across
Okay. Hi, Mom.
and Eternal Realms, so they're not going away once Season 4 ends. This is just how
This is
Helltide
part of the
works.
game.
Yep.
Kind of like our item updates too, right?
Yeah,
This
now
is
and
the new
forever.
world.
Frozen
Yeah, this is
orb.
Sanctuary. But there's also, if you kind of look at the top right of the screen, the threat system. So the longer you're fighting in the tides, you're going to be accumulating threat, which just results in even more monsters ambushing you at higher frequencies than monster packs. I think the personal favorite, and think fan favorite, is the Hellworm. This giant demon slug bug that just pops out from the ground and just vomits monsters all over you. But kind of with all those,
What's wrong,
the seasons, as we say a lot, are an amazing opportunity for experimentation. And
It's my
sometimes
dog.
the best results of those experimentations are when they can inspire permanent
It's raining and she can't go outside and play. She's fucking butthurt.
upgrades and just enhancements to the base game as a whole. So that's where the Hellborn and the new Accursed Ritual and Blood Maiden come into play as part of the new Helltide experience. Yeah, look at those. Those look rad. So the Hellborn, as our Season 2 players might recall, we introduced the Bloodseekers. And those were really cool monsters based on class archetypes. So you're kind of like fighting vampiric shadow versions of yourself. And we take a look at that content, and we just love it from the team perspective, and just find hey, we're upgrading the Helltides. This is a perfect piece of content to just include with it. So that's where the Hellborn came into play. They're fallen heroes of Sanctuary. They've been overtaken by the corruption from hell and kind of turned against you. Kind of in line with that,
Hide mouse
the Accursed
cursor?
Ritual,
Oh
and the
shit,
Blood
sorry.
Maiden. In Season 2, with the Bloodlures and the Bloodseekers, we introduced this concept of, calling it just open world social boss summoning. We followed up with there's a buzzer right there.
Yeah, it's very catchy.
Rolls right off the tongue. I love it.
I get into my designer speak sometimes, but yeah. And we followed that up with the Malphite spawners in Season 3.
Yep.
And again, looking at these really successful experimentations from previous seasons, we love opportunities to bring players together and just add that extra layer.
Bring players together. Can you add a fucking group finder? More social features, since you want to make Diablo fucking social for whatever fucking reason. Big open world with people everywhere, but there's no fucking good system to join a group or a party. Why?
To the Helltide experience. So that's where the Accursed Ritual comes into play. So as you're out fighting against the tides, you'll be collecting the new material, the Baneful Hearts, that you can bring to the Accursed Ritual. It takes 3 to summon up the Blood Maiden. And you can do this, by yourself, or you can partner up with some buddies and all,
By
contribute
yourself.
to the summoning together. And the Blood Maiden itself is our new Helltide mini-boss. That she's immensely powerful, but also very, very
I'm gonna beat that bitch's
And I
ass.
think the last thing forgot to mention is that this is all expanding into World Tiers 1 and 2 as well. And kind of a distilled, not diluted. So there are
Is it really? It's gonna be in World Tier 1? That's kind of big. Isn't that gonna be the new way to level? That's gonna be the new way to level.
Helltide and World Tier 1 and 2 is more specifically tuned to, meet the leveling needs, or the needs of the leveling player.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, on the Blood Maiden, I remember you had talked about with me before that the people that summon the Blood Maiden actually get bonus loot drops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can either contribute just by yourself to the Blood Maiden and get some extra loot for your troubles. We want to make sure that we give you a little bit extra because you're sacrificing up your hearts. But also, every player that it doesn't stack, so you're not stressed to say, hey, I just need to be the one that summons them all. We can all party up and just deposit our own baneful hearts and I guess reap the benefits of that.
Yeah.
Right.
To be clear, so if you put in all three, you get bonus loot, right?
Correct.
But like you, me, and
That's
Colin
great.
are in a group.
I can't tell you how many times in the fucking season 2 where people would stand around and wait for me to activate all 3 of those fucking chalice cups, whatever the fuck you call them. They would just sit and wait for you to do it, and you didn't get anything extra. They're just waiting for you to spend all your fucking materials. So that's good. You should get a fucking bonus if you're gonna put all 3 of them down. Dicks.
And like I put in 2 and you put in 1, do I get more loot than you?
No. So you get
Okay.
the same amount of loot. So
So now everybody's gonna be fighting to put in all 3. That's kind of dumb. I mean, it's great if you put in all 3, but now everyone's gonna want to do it.
now, if Colin has a baneful heart to deposit, and if we all dump them in together, then
we all get the
get the
bonus,
shared
right?
benefits of that.
Got it,
But
okay.
I will touch on a bit later the PTR updates and just some of the enhanced value that the Blood Maiden received since PTR for both contributors and non-contributors to the summon.
Awesome. Yeah, so a lot of new stuff coming in for Helltide, and this is all part of the stuff that players got to experience in the PTR. And of course, we got learnings from the PTR, as you just mentioned.
Many.
Do you want to walk us through some of the changes that are coming in with Helltide for all?
Yeah, hurry up and do this so I can skip ahead again.
Yeah, I think I have a PowerPoint on my own.
Ooh, a PowerPoint.
Look at that.
Fancy.
Yeah, so, as mentioned, tons of sweeping changes going into the Helltides and just overall balance of the game in general with Season 4. And kind of with that, sometimes, we push a little bit too far in some regards. So we did get feedback and also just own internal kind of field checks on the...
I don't like this, and I'll tell you why. If you're just going to increase everything everybody complains about, I think people are just going to blow right through the content. And not, I mean, just grind a bit. It's a fucking ARPG. You're supposed to grind a bit. Grind a bit, brother. I didn't think they were too low of a drop rate, but that's just my opinion. Whatever makes the majority of the community happy, I guess, makes me happy. I want more people to play this fucking game. I want people to come back and give Season 4 a chance. So I guess you know what? I take it back. I do like this. If it's going to bring in more players, hopefully, or more people will stick around longer. We'll see.
The Cinder drop rates were feeling a bit slow in the PTR. So we just went back, reviewed it, and gathered our feedback and just iterated on the drop percentage to hit closer to the expectations of how much we want to be collecting the health.
You can't make everybody happy. It's not possible.
Interacting with the tortured gifts. So I think we're in a much better spot. I know we're in a much better spot right now, actually. So that was one of the first major pieces coming out from the PTR.
A lot more chests from this, yeah.
Yeah, chest, more loot, more fun.
Awesome.
Let's see, next one. Yeah, so on the topic of more is more fun, the Baneful Hearts, we were noticing that they were dropping a bit inconsistently.
Bad
you
luck
can get the
protection.
Baneful Hearts from opening tortured
Doesn't always
gifts,
work.
Killing the Hellborn, and one of the Doomsayer variants, one of our new activity types. But again, we want to get the Baneful Hearts in the hands of the players with a pretty steady cadence. So we noticed with the PTR that we're just not gaining them as frequently as we wanted to. So we just went back, iterated, and kind of reviewed our bad luck protection to just ensure that we improve the consistency that Baneful Hearts are dropping. And this is all kind of like, the Blood Maiden is not meant to be seen as like this highly ambitious piece of content that you only engage with like once every 50 levels. We want you getting the hearts. We want you engaging with the social boss summoning mechanic, and I think it just adds that extra layer to the Helltides we want you to engage with. And on the topic of the Blood Maiden, overall, like we touched on earlier, the Blood Maiden is just seeing some overall rewards improvements. So, as noticed or as mentioned before, if you contribute to the summon,
Okay,
of the
that's
Blood
cool.
Maiden, you receive a
I'm
bonus
happy
reward.
that the
But
Helltides
one
are
of the
changing.
things
That's
was
great.
that
I'm not trying to
be
be a dig.
careful
I don't.
there is a
Need every
Like, there
detail.
is, this is season 4, Loot Reborn, and part of Helltide includes the Iron Wolves, and some people have figured that out even before our blog on
Well,
Tuesday.
yeah, it was in the beta. Or the PTR, I
We
mean.
did want to talk a little bit about season 4 and the Iron Wolves' participation in that, along with some cool things that are specific to seasonal characters for season 4 as well.
Yeah. So again, as mentioned, the players who joined us in the PTR, or again caught all the various blog posts, will notice that the Iron Wolves are now a permanent part of the Helltides. You know, they're fighting and dying alongside the players now, and they're here to stay. However, for our seasonal players, we have the Call of the Wolves seasonal activity, where players will get to spend a bit more time with the Iron Wolves and go on a bit of a journey with them to try and uncover the potential root cause behind these rising tides and uncover this mysterious phenomenon that's threatening to corrupt and consume the Iron Wolves from within.
It's Bobby. It's Bobby Kotick. He's coming back. He's trying to escape hell.
In addition to that, you know, again, the Iron Wolves are
He needs more yachts. He's not done.
in the Helltides with you. As players are
What a fat piece of shit he is, too. Fuck that guy.
fighting and dying alongside the Iron Wolves in the Helltides, you're also going to be earning your way through the Wolves Honor reputation system. And this
Legit piece of shit.
is seeing you progress your way through a collection of just super juiced rewards that are specifically tuned
Juice.
to overpower your leveling journey from level 1 to 100 and beyond. The main pillar for this reputation track was really pushing the player's powers forward. The player power forward. There you go. The player's power forward, and giving them early access to, you know, gear with the juice.
God, I want
stats,
that shirt.
Legendaries, materials, boss materials, and even a resplendent spark to as like a cherry on top at the end.
We love the juice.
We do. You do
Gotta
love
have the
that.
juice, baby.
But, you know, in the spirit of wait, there's more. You know, those are all like the gameplay related things. But we also have a couple of really cool cosmetics that you earn.
Are
through
they
the collection
cool?
called the Wolf Seasonal Activity.
No,
So,
that's
this
not
is the Iron
cool.
Wolf
Actually, that
Mount
is kind of cool.
Trophy, the little Iron Wolf banner. And, oh, a little bit fast. But, yeah, so the Iron Wolf Mountain Trophy. We're doing it live here. That's earned from completing the there it is.
I think your mountain trophies are boring.
That's earned through completing the reputation track, and the Blood Maiden head is earned by completing the associated Call of the Wolf quest line.
Awesome. Yeah, those look really great. And of course, as you mentioned, Resplendent Sparks. And then I know there's one other item that I know we wanted to talk about with this season specific, because it is specific for season 4. And
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder on that. There's so much to cover.
I know, there's a lot, I know. Derek has like the largest list of items to kind of go through here. So
So
You're
you know,
doing
kind of like
fine,
I mentioned
Derek.
Before, on the seasonal team, we love our experiments, and I don't think a season would be one without some level of experiment. So with that, we have the seasonal
God.
item, or as kind of like call it the seasonal toy, and that's the Profane Mind Cage. So there it is. So the Profane Mind Cage is pretty cool in the sense that it's a guaranteed drop from the Hellborn, and when you consume it, I kind of like to imagine you just like eating this demon brain.
Couldn't you be a little more creative with this? Like, it's an elixir, fine. Wouldn't it be a little more interesting if it was maybe a back piece? Because that picture, that looks fucking cool. If I could put that on my back to get monsters to, you know, be 10 levels higher, and then I could just take it off later, that'd be cool. I think that's far more creative than a fucking elixir. Come on, man.
When you consume it for the next 60
Monsters of World Tier 1 and 2 are capped at 50. I'm glad I read that. Some people don't read, you know. They'll just be like, it's not working.
minutes, the Helltide monsters are going to be boosted up to 10 levels, depending on the world tier that you consume.
And it's for 60 minutes. Is there a cooldown? Is there a fucking cooldown? Because if there's a cooldown, then it's fucking stupid.
It in, and you're also going to be increasing their aberrant cinder drop rates. So, you know, again, all tying this back to that leveling journey and like templating.
No mention of a
like,
cooldown.
This is a really fun item that lets you kind of put your build to a little bit more of a test.
Yeah, sure.
In exchange for maximizing your Helltide efficiencies through, you know, just.
Oh, I like it.
monster
I
levels
just
and
wish it
more
wasn't
and stuff
something
like
that you
and also just
drank.
Aberrant cinder drops too.
Yeah, we
And,
also.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead,
I was
Colin,
just gonna say we juiced the World Tier 2, 3, and 4 XP. So
I gotta find a nice sound drop for every time they use the word juiced. That's my goal today after this video.
oh, that's
Yeah.
ties super well. You can just get to blast to endgame very quickly now.
Yep.
Yeah, and with the mind cage itself, like, you know.
In fact, I'm gonna
people
write it down.
Probably going like, well, that's
Find
a
juice
consumable,
sound
like,
clip.
how do people end up like obtaining additional ones of those, or can you get more of those throughout the season and everything?
Yeah, we want to be very generous with those. So one, they're a guaranteed drop from the Hellborn in World Tiers 3 and 4. But you can also use them in World Tiers 1 and 2. So if you want to like boost some level, you know, alts and whatnot. You also get I think like a bucket of them through the Wolves Honor reputation. Like we crammed as many rewards as we could in there. So they
Oh god, dude, he said bucket, and now I'm hungry. I want a fucking bucket of chicken.
will be in steady stream. So don't, again, in the spirit of like use it, don't hoard it. Definitely experiment and have fun with this thing because you know it's a game. Have fun.
Yeah, so it's great. Like if you want a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit better rewards as well, you can of course use your mind cage, and that is exclusive for players in the season. So yeah, it's awesome.
Or it doesn't have to go on your back. Maybe it just like hovers above your head and sucks out the juice from your head. I mean, it's kind of a dumb idea, but it's more creative than drinking an elixir.
Awesome to see. But yeah, thank you, Derek,
What makes a monster get stronger because you took a fucking drink?
for walking us through all the changes with Helltide and of course some of the new season stuff with the Iron Walls.
I'm not shitting on it. I'm just giving him a hard time.
And if
That's
you're
all.
a lore nerd,
It's cool, man.
Iron Walls, of course.
At least
are
there's
very
thinking of this
familiar
shit, you
fashion
know?
within
That's
Diablo.
a
They are
thumbs
from
up for me.
Diablo 2, Act 3. You could actually hire them as some of your mercenaries.
Wait, what?
In the spirit of like use it, don't hoard it.
You can
Definitely
hire mercenaries?
Better rewards as well. You can of course use your mind cage, and that is exclusive for players in the season. So yeah, it's awesome to see. But yeah, thank you, Derek, for walking us through all the changes with Helltide and of course some of the new season stuff with the Iron Walls. And if you're a lore nerd, Iron Walls, of course, are a very familiar faction within Diablo. They are from Diablo 2, Act 3. You could actually hire them as some of your
Oh, but we can't hire them
one
now.
of the mercenary options, though we know a lot of people went with an Act 2 mercenary in Diablo 2 for the aura. But yes, cool. Thank you so much, Derek. And of course, we still have more to talk about. We're actually going to go back to Colin.
Where are we at here? The pit. I already know pretty much all about the pit, but maybe there's some new info. Let's skip to here.
Into it, and in getting some of these masterworking material rewards. And the pit is all about, you know, just blasting
Rifts.
through monsters and the demons of hell, right? There's no negative modifiers. We're not CCing you a bunch.
I do hate where it's located. It's in some fucking shithole town. I forgot what the town's name is, but it's just in a weird spot.
You know, this is really just a test of how powerful your build is. So from the PTR, we actually got feedback that it was way too easy because
Really? See, I didn't get a chance to actually. I mean, I could go in, but I got fucking annihilated.
we added a ton of power through tempering, through the Codex of Power. It's just much easier to get a lot of those aspects online. So we've taken a look and we've moved some of the masterworking material tiers around. Previously, you know, the tier 1 masterworking
Is it Pit Lord? Oh, it's not Pit Lord. Fuck.
materials only came from 1 to 20. We've moved that up 10 tiers. So tier 1 will come from 1 to 29. Tier 2 will come from 30 to 59, and tier 3 will be 60 plus. And what that does is it just makes the journey feel a little bit more rewarding, right? Like we saw in the PTR that people just like within the first 2 hours just blasted through all of it because there's
Not me. I couldn't get high enough. I mean, I did the 100 thing and I got into the fucking rifts, but my gear was shit because, you know, it kept crashing and I didn't have a chance to gear up.
so powerful. So we've just adjusted some
I couldn't
the
juice.
rates there. So you have to push a little bit deeper. You have to optimize your build a little bit more. So those armor caps are things to watch out for, right? Where if you're over the armor cap, it's just a straight optimization to start thinking about.
I know I called out his hair, but I like this guy. He seems to know what the fuck he's talking about. And I welcome that on this team. Now we just got to get rid of Rod.
How you want to replace some of that armor. We think that feels pretty good. And overall, we've increased the health and damage, or sorry, I should say, increased the health on all monsters post level 100, both in the pit and nightmare dungeons. So the enemies should be pushing back on you a little bit more, right? You care a little bit more about utility, defense, outside of just one-shotting everything, right? So it sort of tests you a lot more. You know, and part of that feedback, though, that we've heard is that, well, like, nightmare dungeons don't feel very rewarding. The pit doesn't feel super rewarding post, you know, that 60 tier when you're getting
Rifts.
top-end masterworking materials. So we've done 2 major changes. One is we've added obols that scale with both of these tiers. So everything past tier 46 in nightmare dungeons and everything past tier 1 in the pit, actually. It just always gives you obols. You might ask, like, but obols are terrible. But, you know, again...
Why do I want obols, Colin?
I know, right? A big part of Season 4 was that, you know, we made the Gambler guarantee 925 legendaries at level 100. And those legendaries
What?
can roll greater affixes. So, you know, if you blow, you know, a ton of obols on two-handers, for example, those two-handed legendaries you're getting are the same as anywhere else in the game. So it's actually a huge efficiency boost to getting the items you're looking for.
So to be clear, you can get like some of the best items in the game from the obol vendor now.
Absolutely.
So that makes them a lot more valuable.
And one thing that is also changing with obols is like, because, you know, when people pick up obols, they're like, oh, I've got my cap. And now I'm like,
someone's like
I'm like,
typing.
gotta run back to town. and do
But Colin,
I think it's kind of lame. You can get the best item in the game from basically going to a fucking vendor and spending a resource.
the obol cap is fucked. So, you know, like we've increased the obol cap substantially. So the amount of obols you get now is 2,500 you can hold up to.
Oh, yeah.
So you can just like go to the gambler and be like, give me everything. And you can just do that a couple of times.
I don't like that.
Yeah, so get your obols and hit the tables. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, exactly. And the items are incredible.
And just to like double down this for a second too, like one of the things that we also did as part of this, like when you use
He's just sitting off to the side like nobody likes him. I like him though. Just looks funny.
the enchanting feature in Diablo 4, you can't actually enchant off of an affix into a greater affix.
That's right.
Yes.
So when a good item drops for you in the base game, you can't try to like roll for greater affixes off the enchanting system. It's
Yeah, I
going
kind of
into
figured that.
a stat you really need in a situation where an item didn't get you what you wanted.
Yeah.
But now with the obols vendor, like those items, not only are they I-Power 925 and they have the chance to be legendary, of course, like the obols vendor always has, but you also have a chance to get greater affixes off those gambled items.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a particular pair of gloves, you're looking for a particular helmet, and you're saying, I really want a greater affix version of cooldown reduction on my helmet. Right? Like now it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to take my 2,000 obols. I'm going to go to the vendor. I'm just going to just gamble, and try to get that one helmet.
Yeah.
Like now I have a chance to really do that, and this is a way for you to like getting more drops and such inside the pit is one thing, but giving you more choice when you get out of a pit run, I think is very, very valuable.
It's gonna feel way better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and another change we made was to Glyph XP. We got a bunch of feedback that's like,
Oh god, juice the fuck out of that,
so we
please.
increased the Glyph XP by 25%.
About
after
50.
leveling. We've also scaled the amount of rune shards, which is the pit currency to get into the pit, with Nightmare Dungeon. So you can create sort of a positive feedback.
Oh no! I have to do Nightmare Dungeons to even get into the rifts? No, bro, come on. I'm uninstalling this piece of shit.
Loop, if you're really strong, you're really powerful, you're hitting those tier 100s. In the Nightmare Dungeons, you're getting tons of pit keys that you can then translate into the pit and just.
When are they gonna fucking listen? We don't like Nightmare Dungeons. We don't like them. I don't speak for everybody, of course, but I speak for a fucking large percentage of the community. We do not want to do Nightmare Dungeons over and over and over. We fucking hate it. It's stupid.
Get lots of runs and lots of masterworking there.
Yeah, so a lot of feedback from Nightmare Dungeons. People were saying like, hey,
Take them out of the fucking game. That's what I'm saying. Fuck.
are we planning on making any changes to that Glyph XP? And
Yep.
So there are
sure
some,
did.
we sure did. We actioned on it for sure. So and that,
To be fair, they did boost it a tad. But it's not enough for me because I don't like being in there.
and there's funny enough, there's also even in the season journey, I believe there's also like changes to the ashes themselves where you can actually use that to boost even like Glyph XP is also part of that. with the season journey. So very cool stuff that we have.
One more. Sorry.
Oh, there's more.
I have this list,
There's
but I don't
more.
actually read it.
But then
It's
he
just like a
doesn't
prop. Yeah,
actually
sorry.
look
The one other thing that we did was we heard a bunch of feedback that players were dying at the end of the pit because we have this like shadow boss that sometimes comes in. And
Yeah, you have to
makes it
protect
really
us
good.
after the fucking rift,
And,
dude.
You know, as much as I push for learn to play, you know, our encounter designers.
I love this guy. Somebody finally said it. He basically just said, "Get good, fucker." I'd give that guy a fucking kiss on his cheek if he was here right now.
Good philosophy person.
Ruthless.
Absolutely.
Get good,
Take
bitch.
that, hardcore players.
Surprise. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. Isn't it fun to die after you killed the boss? Yeah. So our encounter designer did an amazing job cleaning up a lot of those affixes after you kill that boss. And
Get
that, you know,
good.
should be clear now after you kill that boss.
As chat says, get good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we saw that a lot, and you know, if you're a hardcore player, that would have been a tragic loss.
Okay, for hardcore players, that is actually shit. Yeah. I mean, I can see both points of view here. Like, one, don't stand and shit. Right? Two, I just killed the boss. It should be over now. Good scrubs.
To your character.
I prefer the word hilarious.
Yeah, some designers like fist pumping, like yes, got him.
Yeah, just watching streams and reactions from that. So awesome. So a lot of changes coming for the pit. Pit is of course a new feature
Rifts.
within Diablo 4 permanently, and you can experience that in eternal and seasonal realms. And of course, we have some updates to the boss ladder because the boss ladder itself is changing pretty significantly. We talked a little bit about like how you can get additional materials in other places that Derek had mentioned, but Colin has additional.
Didn't really match the difficulty of the rest, and that's important because we give you one guaranteed resplendent spark one time for defeating any of these. So one step closer to getting that uber unique that's not just a raw drop of your choice, which is pretty awesome. And then something else, you know, speaking of resplendent sparks, we're adding one to Uber Lilith. So the first time you kill Uber Lilith, you're also going to get another resplendent spark. So
Now,
Wow.
That brings us to 3 opportunities of being able to earn yourself a resplendent spark. We heard one from Jay.
So you have 3 opportunities now. Is this going to be too common? You just go buy the Uber Unique that you want? If that's the case, say you can get a bunch of these. Let's just say, for example, you could get 5 of these per week, right? Just by grinding or killing bosses or whatever. From what I understand, they're not guaranteed drops, unless I'm missing something. So say you get 5 of them per week, you could just get a new Uber Unique every week. I don't think that's good.
Derek at the end of the season, the Iron Wolves, board, and doing that within the season. We now have one with the Echo of Lilith, and of course one with your first Tormented boss as well. So additional opportunities to earn Resplendent Sparks, and of course you can still salvage.
Okay, so I'm wrong. That's fine. That sounds much better.
Any Uber gear
right.
that you do happen to find,
Yeah.
and you can actually earn a Resplendent Spark.
Yeah.
that
So
way.
what that means is if you do all of these and then you get an Uber unique, you can actually change that into whatever one you want.
Yes.
yeah.
Is really what that means.
And then something else, you know, on the Uber uniques is that
I'm just laughing because I didn't realize this, but chat's calling out with our tooltip that we showed. We had 200 plus Resplendent Sparks.
Yeah.
That's what happens when
We're
you
just
work-
really lucky. We're doing good.
I didn't even notice.
That's how I get them.
Let me tell you
Isn't that how
guys about
get them?
dev tools.
Yeah, that's actually my account online. So.
Oh yeah, there we go. Nice.
So on the Uber uniques, you know, we heard a bunch of feedback that it feels like a chore to have to do, you know, the penance at night into Varshan, into Doom Duriel just for a chance at an Uber unique, right? And you know, we've experienced that ourselves, right? It's like, God, I got to do all this stuff to fight the boss that's going to actually drop something that I care about. You know, greater affixes help that because there's some variation to the uniques you're going to get. But for uber uniques, we've actually added a small chance, a little bit lower than Duriel, to all of the ladder bosses, and they're going to have a chance to drop an uber unique as well. So while you're grinding through this ladder, every single boss you kill is going to have a chance to drop an uber unique. It's not exactly the same as Duriel and Dariel. We should do like a combo, like Dariel.
A lot of Uriels.
And we think that's going to make it feel a lot better.
Awesome. So yeah, a lot of changes coming with boss ladder and
Okay, what's next? Season journey.
Amount of legendaries as you're going through that are targeted toward a specific build. So we chose a build for every class in Season 4, and we're going to change it around in future seasons. Please give us feedback on this, but we think it'll be pretty cool. But you're basically going to get like close to a completed build when it comes to opening those caches. They're guaranteed targeted legendaries to build a specific fantasy for every class. I think we have a video to show what they're going to be for every class in Season 4.
Ooh, let's see it, baby.
Maybe there. So Barbarian here, you can see we're going to be giving you a bunch of legendaries related to...
Can we get a legendary for Barbs where he'll just use his shouts automatically so I don't have to put him on the fucking bar? I don't want to play a Barbarian or 3 of my buttons are shouts. That is not fun.
Dust Devils. The Druid, we're going to be giving you basically a pulverized build.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next is the Necromancer. Of course, everybody's going to be playing minions, so we gave you a bunch of minion-focused legendaries.
Ooh, who's doing that?
Pretty awesome. And then next is the Sorceress. We actually have a cool new legendary coming into the game for Incinerate.
Bro, I'm playing Frozen Orb. I ain't playing that
so
shit.
we're giving you an Incinerate build on the Sorceress. And then the Rogue, we're giving you one targeted toward Barrage. So again, kind of the point of this is that, if you don't really know what you want to play, or you really want to just go through a season journey and try out something before you go to a build that you really want to do, you have a foundation of something more complete to start with, which we're pretty excited about. We think it'll be really cool.
And with the codex change now, you also get to kill all those.
What's he doing?
Items are actually dropping out of the season journey.
Sneaky
cache.
bitch.
You can kind of keep those. They're all going to your codex. You can use that build for the entirety of your leveling process.
Correct.
Yeah.
Awesome. So lots of changes coming this season. Sorry, my mic died halfway through there. So
That's what that was.
Mic swap as we were playing.
We were free.
Also, Joe Piper is back. Hi, Joe. Derek is now over here.
Derek did a good job.
If people are confused of like what's going on, we are playing musical chairs today. That is also a new feature coming in Season 4. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So a lot of changes. Season 4, pretty huge. It's by far the biggest season for Diablo 4 yet.
Yeah, every season's going to be the biggest one yet.
I did want to bring up one thing as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, let's just skip to the Q&A.
Season 4, as I mentioned before, is like an opportunity for us to kind of like lift up a lot of aspects of the game that we think are really important.
This is a really long video, guys. I'm really sorry, but
as I said before,
you can skip around and stuff.
We need to make sure it feels at least as good as killing monsters, right? Like it's extremely important that this part feels good. And we took a lot of our development effort and put it against that goal as part of this release. And there were other parts of the game that we lifted up at the same time, like the various changes that we talked about for Helltide, for example. The myriad new tempering recipes and things like that. There's lots of things we did, I think, as part of the release to just make the base experience of Diablo 4 more fun, right? So I'm really excited.
I like fun.
Season 4. Thinking about what the future holds, we always want to make sure that with every season, we are adapting to what we think the game needs at that time. We think it's good.
Okay. Don't adapt to what Rod thinks the game needs, because Rod doesn't know shit about ARPGs. Clearly.
It's going to make for a better experience overall. We love the idea of seasonal powers.
I don't like seasonal powers, and I'll tell you why. It feels like World of Warcraft. Every expansion, you get this borrowed power that you know is going away. And what if you fall deeply in love with this power, and it's so fucking fun, and then, oh, it's gone. Sorry.
We've learned a lot of really, really great stuff from the days of the Barber, all the way through the vampiric powers we got in Season 2, and all the Seneschal and Construct stuff we had in Season 3.
Now, if they're trivial, or, I shouldn't say trivial, but just like the Vampire Dash in Season 2, that's cool. And I'm glad that's back in the game, by the way, because I fucking can't live without it. But super borrowed power, I don't like that shit.
We have lots of big ideas for the future. So, but you will see seasonal powers again in the future in different themes and mechanics as we go. That's that's kind of our promise to you. And with the things that we have in terms of like the Iron Wolves quest line and the various rewards you get, changes we made to the season journey for like getting like all of those themed items, those various like kind of aspect builds together as you kind of progress through. We want to keep building upon these mechanical elements as well at the same time to kind of continue to help lift up the experience. So yeah, we will be returning seasonal powers in the future. But with every season, we want to make sure that we're doing what we think is be up, like lifting the game up the most, the things that we think are most important at that time.
Awesome. Question from our, I'll bounce between some questions from chat and from our forums because we
make them good ones, please.
In our forums about specific questions, but this one's from the forums. This is from Avalon. They're asking if because season 3 actually ran longer and season 4 itself had a PTR. Will season 4 actually be a shortened season?
Good question.
Or will it still be a standard size season? They weren't sure how PTR is actually affecting the time on it.
So PTR is not as impactful for the timing here. I think it's a slightly shorter season. I think it's like 1 week shorter or something. I need to look at the date.
Yeah, and I will note like PTR. The reason why season 3 ran longer was because we wanted to make sure that we could get that PTR. This was
season 3 was
PTR,
fucking awful.
So there was a little bit more effort needed to get that out for players.
Yeah, I guess you're absolutely right. So I think about when I'm thinking about the future and what PTRs look like, what we want things to be like. It's not that having a PTR automatically means that everything is going to take longer to deliver. But there was a lot of things we had to set up for the first time for the PTR for season 4. And
that's understandable.
As I think you've seen, there's a lot of things we learned as going through the process.
And it gave us the time to iterate and use the feedback too, which we did a lot of things based on.
I'm cool with that.
Blake Darko CS. Will you guys think about maybe a potential different beam color for items with greater affixes?
So I know we talked about this for a while.
Yeah, I think that's something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. Like right now, we think that the little dots, or I should say huge dots, the huge stars on them, are doing a pretty good job. But that's something that we also need to feel out and play, and we're super open to feedback and seeing how these new big stars are going to help.
The change, especially the changes in the inventory, because now you can actually identify them in your inventory.
Yeah, that's huge.
And these also roll on unique, so there's a little bit of work that we'll need to figure out. But again,
it's true. Yeah, you can get greater affix on unique items as well.
And that kind of thing can come in a smaller patch. That doesn't have to wait a whole fucking season.
So it's the beam color gets a little confusing there. So something that we'll monitor for sure, and of course something that we've seen from players and a lot of people bringing that specifically up. Fire Dragon Dad says that the season 4 update's going to retro into existing Eternal. So everything we talked about today, with the exception of the Iron Wolves questline stuff, is actually present in the Eternal.
Did they ever mention what's going to happen to our current items in the Eternal realm? Are those stats going to be, how do I say this? Are the stats going to be rearranged, and are they going to be loot reborn? Or are they going to remain dog shit? I must have missed that, because
realm. So players like the Codex power changes, everything like that will be there. I know there are a lot of questions related to the Codex changes, especially for Eternal players. And just to clarify, if you have aspects in your inventory and your stash, it'll take whatever your highest roll of that specific aspect, and that will become your new best Codex entry when season 4 does start. You may need to log on to specific characters on Eternal.
I still have to finish my Lilith statues. I don't have them all yet. If anybody has a good guide for that, drop it in the comments, please. I think I got about a little over 50% of them. I just got bored doing it.
To at least for us to be able to check your inventory, but the stash I know will automatically move over there. Cool. And same thing for I know we get a lot of questions about items on Eternal. Those will be marked as legacy items specifically, because obviously we've changed a lot of affixes and everything.
And those items you can't craft on those items either at that point. You can't temper those items, and you can't masterwork those items. But they'll still retain the item upgrade state that they have in the
So they're useless now. You can't upgrade them.
Exactly. So if it doesn't mean when you log on, all your gear is suddenly unusable.
Yeah, you just gotta find new gear if you want to upgrade it and play with it.
Well, it's just marked as legacy, and you won't be able to use tempering or
It's a great stepping off point to getting some new items that could have greater affixes
I don't play on Eternal Realm anyway, really, so it's fine.
and other things that could make you even more powerful.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm
We
hungry.
have actually from the forums. This is from Iggy. With the itemization reworks, is there what is like the next like big thing you guys are actually looking at potentially wanting to really work on within the team? I don't know if we want to play our cards too early. Yeah.
Well, I think
We're
it's
working on things.
we're working on all kinds of stuff, everybody. But no, I think one thing we want to continue to work on. I think you see like as we're thinking more about the end game experience, a lot like when we launched Diablo 4, we thought of end game really as a journey from like really from 50 to 100, like the things you're doing along the way and getting all of your Paragon glyphs and leveling those glyphs up and go diving deeper into Nightmare Dungeons.
Nightmare
going
Dungeons
and
suck
eventually confronting
balls.
Lilith. That was what we kind of imagined or thought that endgame would feel like, and that was a good thing for us to build on. I think we saw that a lot more players were looking for endgame like explicitly at level 100. Yeah. That was when they wanted a lot more things to open up, and we've made a lot of changes recently to try to like.
I do not have a level 100 character yet.
The experience between like the itemization changes and the crafting changes, and also the introduction of like tormented bosses, and of course the Pay the Artificer. Yeah. So I think that like we know that there's more opportunities for us to build on these things, right? Like I think you've heard me say this before, but you know a lot of the things we're doing in season 4 specifically really are done to like build a new framework, you know, for how endgame sort of functions, the things that drive a player forward, the things
Stash tabs,
and the content that they engage with along the way as well, right? We want to make sure that that players are having a really fun time, a rewarding time while they're playing Diablo 4, and that they can find opportunities to be appropriately challenged.
Side note: my neighbor is really creepy, and she's outside on her porch right now, which looks directly into my window, and she can see my face right now while I'm turned like this, and she's staring. My TV, I have a TV on the wall over this way. It's in the corner. I think she's fucking watching my TV, man. My window is open too. Fuck.
They go through the experience as well. We think there's more opportunities for us to kind of like grow and expand the offerings of things that players would have access to.
So
things
weird.
Experience, you know, at that stage of the game.
Awesome. Question from Old Dudes, New Games. I love these names. They're so good.
Fucking boomers.
What about codex resetting when swapping characters? That was actually just an issue on PTR. Like when you swapped characters and stuff like that. Sorry.
Yeah, when you swap, then you use the when you use the boost NPC. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was not a thing that you will experience with season 4.
Now she's in front of my house. I got a notification from my Comcast door cam. What is she doing?
And so that's not a common thing or a normal thing that's supposed to actually happen. It just was a bug that we had in PTR. There's a lot of questions here about the mind cage, and I just want to maybe clarify with the players. Opus Crocus says, if you consume more than one, does the mind cage stack?
No.
Or does the timer reset?
Timer reset, I think.
It doesn't stack.
Timer resets.
Timer resets. Okay. And then in regards to, again,
So there's no cooldown then.
Optics. Do mind cages trigger for a single player or your whole group if you're grouped up?
Single player.
Just a single player. Yeah, it's a personal thing. Okay. All right. So clarity around the mind cages, because I know we've had a lot of people ask specifically.
And we want feedback on this, by the way, too. So when you get a chance to play with the mind cage during the season, like, you know, tell us what you think. We want to know.
Okay, but if we tell you on Twitter, are you going to cry about it like Rod does?
This is from Nupu Games. Do unique items get a stat/functionality boost since tempered legendaries are just straight up better? And is it generally not worth it to equip a unique item after the patch?
Yeah, I mean, I think Adam can speak to some of these changes if you wanted to jump in, but we've done a pass on all the unique items. We've done things like Razor Blade, I think has 4 Thorns affixes, and we changed what the legendary power is.
Yeah. By the way, that was a big question we got from people at PTR because they were like, hey, what about Razor Blade?
We heard a lot. No, we had to change Razor Blade. Yeah, it'll be cool.
And it's actually in the patch notes. And
Go away.
Razor Blade's hilarious. We still love it.
It's hilarious.
I wanted to just have like 1 so you can't miss on Masterwork.
What I'll say though about the unique to legendary item power level, I suppose, is that we knew when we were making these tempering changes and updating those that we wanted legendaries, because they kind of have like they have kind of different identities right now in the game, and so we're still figuring out what we want to do with uniques long term. But the idea is that like legendary items or items really, they have a journey, and you're working on them, and there's a story to them, and you get it, and it's not like a one-stop shop. You're done, kind of like how they were before. Uniques, a part of their identity is that like you get a unique and it's freaking awesome and really powerful and very exciting, and you have it and you're done with it. And so we're keeping this discrepancy of like what their purposes are in the game for now, and kind of seeing how it goes. We did take a look at some uniques, but we didn't like do a whole pass of like, every single unique now has 5 affixes or something like that. Like we wanted them to be a little bit different, have different identities. So we do kind of expect that uniques may be less prevalent than they were before. We still believe though that a lot of uniques are really key for various builds, and so you're still going to want them, but you're not going to want like a unique in every single slot in your character now, because they're just clearly always better, right? Sometimes some builds will want more uniques, some will want less, and we want to kind of see how that plays first before making sweeping changes. Some obvious roads we could take is like adding crafting to uniques. What if you could temper them? What if you could do these other things, right? Like we know that that's a thing, and we may do that in the future, but we're kind of evaluating this world where it's not clearly always you only get one or the other, and we kind of want to see how that goes first before making any big changes.
Yeah, and the fixed nature sort of has you consider it's part of your optimization puzzle, right?
Yes.
Like, well, I'm going to give up some tempering affixes to get this unique, for example, in my chest slot, for example. And we sort of want to see where that goes. Like, we think that that's fun.
This is a really boring question.
We think that the excitement of a group play isn't just like totally overwhelming.
And challenge ladder, like we really want that. Elrow here, I think that is actually
nailed it.
It's like an elven name right now.
Since not everyone actually experienced PTR, because PTR itself was on PC Battle.net, but they were asking, when tempering, can you keep previous rolls?
Can you keep previous rolls?
Like the enchanting system.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, we don't have the functionality to let you keep the roll. Right now, if you're going to commit to re-rolling, you're going to lose that
You're
previous
committing
one.
to rolling.
Yeah, it's sort of like the blacksmith is hammering on that item and unlocking different aspects of the weapon. You sort of lose what you previously had. But we're open to feedback, right? It's a completely new feature. Really want to hear how it's playing, and then ultimately what we want is a fun crafting feature. So, if,
Thank God for any fucking crafting feature in this game, to be fucking fair.
that sort of feedback is really valuable.
We'll take 2 more, and one is from Matt LOL. Is tempering going to allow changes for the skills, the skill type, like maybe lightning hydras, or maybe changes
in the
blizzard
future?
where it's a rain of fire.
That's the answer.
Like that.
The future.
Pretty cool.
Honestly, anything an affix can do.
Yeah.
It is open season of things we could potentially do in the future. Yeah, not in season 4, but possibly in the future.
Awesome.
It sounds like
this
a
is
fucking
actually
awesome
from,
idea, by the way.
A lot of space to grow.
There is.
Utility is a category that we can do. There's a lot of space to do some interesting things.
Stash tabs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions in here about like additional character customization options and stuff like that coming in the future. It is like something that the team is always looking at, adding additional things for players to have more choice of what they want to do, especially as they're creating characters, and of course being able to obtain those, like even just some things in season 4 of being able to get additional cosmetic things for your mount and everything like that is something that the team is most definitely looking at.
Yeah, we care about this a great deal. I think one thing that's very interesting
Of course they do. They can charge money for it.
about Diablo 4, or a problem that we have that's very specific, right, is there are actually quite a few cosmetics for players to earn out on bosses and things, like throughout the game. Like there's lots of things for players to collect cosmetically in the game. But it's really hard to know that drops off that thing in Diablo 4. Like you can go and you could fight a
That's a good point. It's not like WoW, where you know what drops and who drops it and the fucking drop rate.
like a world boss 50 times and not have a drop occur for you, right? Like then eventually you get your spectral horse. You're like, oh, okay, it is here, but you have no idea. It's kind of like it's harder to know exactly where to grind. We're actually talking about that a bit on the dev side. See if like there's more ways we can kind of like make it clear where certain things can be found, which I think could be really fun.
Yeah.
But I think that there's work we can do there, and also there's still work we can do about just trying to get more cool looks into the game
that you don't have to pay for, right, Joe?
So we've been talking a lot more with the various teams inside Diablo 4, and there's a broad agreement. We want to bring more cool stuff to you guys, and more cool stuff for players to find and
like $80 horses
and pick up and equip and feel like it was really exciting to get that thing. One thing we're doing like already is we're like as we develop more uniques, We're trying to make sure that we have like more unique appearances to go with all of them. We have like a lot of really fun ideas. We have to constantly like wrestle with like, all right, we only have like this X many swords, but like we have like this many ideas for swords, and we want to like try to get this in the game. We want to wait till we have the artwork for a sword. We usually try to make sure that we've got a fun toy to immediately give you. But we're really
Who the
making sure
fuck
we're
is
trying to build
coughing?
that game as well. So there's just even more artwork to the unique system for players to collect.
Awesome. So that's all the time we got right here for today. We went over all the changes, or not actually. There's even more changes. There's actually more changes in the
Patch notes, brother.
We can't go through every single line in the patch notes over a stream. So
Okay, cool. So that's it. I'm glad you guys stuck around and watched it. If you did, these are good changes. Lots of good shit. Actually, my excitement level for Diablo 4 is actually not in the fucking negative for once. Man, dude, next week the V Rising 1.0 drops, and then the week after that, it's the fucking Season 4 update. It's gonna be a fucking great 2 weeks, boys. And I'm gonna be here for all of it. I plan on doing a few fucking streams and definitely more videos. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I love doing this, and I'll be back every single fucking time they do one of these. Goodbye, everybody. Be excellent to each other. Take care of yourselves. I'm rambling. I'm still going. Yeah, baby. See you later.